everyone, Shannon Turner here. Today we are going to shine a spotlight on one of ActionKit's most powerful features, custom user fields. You might be familiar with custom user fields for storing information about users, like for instance, who is their employer, what is their occupation. Those are two very common fields, but you can do so much with custom user fields. In fact, it's up to you what information matters to you and what you might want to store there. But I'm going to give you a few ideas. Lots of clients like to run reports on historical data to answer questions like, how much money did this user give in calendar year 2020? How much did they give in 2018, 2016? Now, absent a time machine, historical data like that doesn't change very often, but calculating that information from the database, depending on what data you're retrieving, how far back you're going, how many users you have, and a few other factors, calculating that information can be very, very slow. Lots of clients also like to use merge queries to calculate suggested ask snippets based on historical donation data using a user's highest previous contributions. Now, there are lots of different ways that you can calculate suggested asks. Every method has its trade-offs. And we're not going to go into a deep dive on how to do those suggested ask snippets. We already have a video for that. And if you want a deeper dive into that, there's going to be a link in the description of this video for suggested asks. But if you often use merge queries in your mailings and you find that those merge queries are very slow, you might enjoy this video. Now, these are some common reasons why these reports tend to be slow. You might be querying on a very large database table that has millions or tens of millions or hundreds of millions of records. You might be retrieving the same data several times. And if you're using the query builder, for instance, that's optimized for convenience and not speed and performance. You can often get better results performance-wise if you write your SQL code by hand rather than using the query builder. But also, you might be doing time-consuming calculations on several years of historical data. And when you're targeting your mailings to hundreds of thousands or millions of people and doing calculations for each of them, that's going to slow things down even further. Now, you might be thinking, hey, custom user fields would be a really great way to store things like how many actions has a user taken in the last year. And as it happens, we have another database table that you might be interested in called Summary User. This has a set of very commonly used stats about your users. This is already set up for you and you don't have to do anything in order to begin using it. So don't make custom user fields for these things that you see on this slide here. We've already made them for you. Instead, think of custom user fields as a supplement to these fields. And if you'd like to learn more about the summary user table and how to take advantage of it, check out our other feature spotlight on summary user. Link is going to be in the description below. Now, some of the benefits of using custom user fields, beyond having a wealth of information about your users, is that your mailings will build more quickly. This means quicker turnarounds for getting proofs, and you get your mailings out the door more quickly. But best of all, it means that you don't have to wait for your mailings to build. I know how stressful that is. You can also use snippets to display the values of custom user fields for a given user in your mailings and your pages. And perhaps most importantly, you can target your mailings based on who has what information in those custom user fields. So here are a few ideas for some custom user fields that you could put together. You could do things like, for instance, how many donations did a user make in calendar year 2020? How much money did they give? In fact, you could create custom user fields going back as many years as the data is relevant to you. You could answer questions like, what was a user's largest one-time donation? Maybe that's what you want to base your suggested asks off of. You could do things like, a lot of times candidates and parties want to have want to know how much money can this person give before they max out. You could store that in a custom user field. You could do things like propensity scores, and this might be a propensity score that you have in another system that you bring over to ActionKit, or it could be something that you calculate based on the information that you already have in ActionKit and use that information to determine how likely someone is to open your mailing or take action on your issues. And if you're thinking, Shannon, those examples sound great, I'm sold, how do I do this? Here's how. So first, we're going to create a custom user field, and we're going to do this from the Users tab on the right-hand side menu. In the sidebar, go to Custom User Fields. You're going to find, let's create a field called Donation Count 2020. Next, we're going to create a report that calculates the value of what that custom user field should be for that user. Step 3, in your report, you're going to name your report column the same as the name of the custom user field from step 1. So let's take a closer look at what I mean, because that might be a little confusing. We named that custom user field Donation Count 2020. So now I need to name my report column that, so that when I import this in a couple of steps, it's going to know exactly where to put the information. So here you can see I've got this report ready to go. I'm using the query builder. First, I have my user ID, which I'm going to need later to say which user this belongs to. And my second column has the exact same name as my custom user field that I created in step 1. But I want you to notice that there's a prefix user underscore before donation count 2020. We're going to need that in a moment when we import. Once you're happy with your report, the results look good, run it, download the results, and then create an import page and upload the file. When you are only uploading custom user fields, like we are in this example, you can check the box that says skip action creation, and then your upload is going to go lightning fast. Finally, upload the file from step 4 and then go into one of your users and check. Take a look and see, does the number of donations that they made in calendar year 2020, does that match what I have in the custom user field? Don't take my word for it that this works. Try it for yourself and see. So you probably have a couple of questions like, hey, why am I uploading data I already have in ActionKit into ActionKit? Does that make sense? And yes, that is what we're doing here. You might be wondering, can I import more than one custom user field at a time? Also yes. And is this really faster than the way I've been doing it? And oh my gosh, yes, so much faster. But you might also be wondering, this is nice, but it's never going to work for us because there's no way I'm doing a manual report and import every single day to keep this information up to date. And if you're thinking that, then I've got great news for you. There's a new feature called User Updaters that's here for you. This is specifically designed to keep your custom user fields up to date on a regular schedule. So check out our feature spotlight video on user updates for how to set this up. Link is going to be in the description below. And that's all we have for custom user fields. If you'd like to learn more, we've got a ton of how-to guides, tutorials, tips, and trainings available on blog.actionkit.com. For more about custom user fields, check out the documentation. Link is going to be there in the description below, as well as links to all of our feature spotlights. So check those out, and I will see you in the support.